Hi folks, welcome back to my channel. This is a quick heads up. Flat Earth Banjo, Eddie and myself, we collaborating, working on a video clip. So what I'll be doing is analyzing the footage from the final experiment, the video footage. We'll be cleaning it up, taking out the distortions, then unpacking it, putting everything on the timeline, working out and showing you where certain elements are and where the sun is in relation to these elements. And the facts will speak for themselves. It's going to show you quite clearly that there's a lot of bullshit going on. Now, look, reason. We need to think and reason. So reason, it's a cause and explanation or justification. But there's also reasonable doubt. It means insufficient evidence or contradicting evidence. And so you need to weigh the scales. You need to balance it out and think for yourself. I can't do it for you. So even in a court of law, you'll have a jury. So a jury comes from the Latin word to swear an oath. So a person can testify, right? It means you need to put him to the test. He can provide his evidence. He can testify. Now, if it means that he's telling the truth, we don't need to test him, then there's no need for a jury. So it simply illustrates the point that people lie, even when they're saying they're not lying. So there's reason and reasonable doubt, and you need to balance the two or weigh them up and test it for yourself. So often what happens in the science community, they want to abandon the reason. No, you mustn't think. It's a scientific fact. The evidence that they supply, you can see, well, it's a cartoon. So therefore, is it fact or an act? So we're going to show you that the final experiment, it's just an act. It's another dumb-ass clown show. And we're going to be presenting the proof so that you can make up your own mind and draw your own conclusions. Reason and think about it. So there's no easy way out. There's no shortcut. Right, it's either the snake scales or it's the scales of justice. Right, so Lady Justice, right, she's got the scales in her hand, at her feet is the snake, and she's got a sword. You have to draw your own conclusions like you draw a sword. You empower yourself because you test things. Right, and so you need to crush the snake in the head. So it's symbolic, meaning question the snake. Put the snake out of action. Put the lies and the deceit out of action. And you can't be lazy. There's no shortcut. If you're just sitting, are you doing the discovering or they're talking all shit? Because then you're just a dumbass TV expert. Right? They'll say, well, space is a big black hole. It's empty, it's nothing. But nothing can have a big black hole in it. And people will just have this glazed look on their face, look at you, and they can't see the problem in that statement. That space can have a hole in it. An empty void of nothing can actually have a hole in it. They don't see the problem with it. Right, so the clown show, it's the final experiment. It's a clown show. So why do they call it a final experiment? To mislead you, right? So when they say the jury is out, it means the decision has not yet been reached on a controversial subject. So don't let these clowns tell you, look, it's over, it's done and dusted. No, it is not. We're going to present some evidence to show contrary to what they're saying. So moving on, in my last video, I spoke about one of the clowns. He's a dumbass clown, greater sapien, right? I'm going to show you how he gaslights you. Right? And we're going to deal with those issues because the issues that I'm going to bring up now are related into the issue in the video that Eddie and myself are going to discuss. And Eddie will upload it onto his site. Look, if something doesn't work, right, so look, a big part of gaslighting is if something doesn't work, no, it's just your imagination. You're not smart enough to understand why the rubbish they're selling you why it actually is working when you can see it doesn't work. So let's listen to Greater Sapien, and I want to show you how he gaslights you.
Immediately cutting and saying seeing a midnight sun would not be enough to prove the globe. Right off the bat, we can see he's too focused on his own bias, because I obviously did not say that it would prove the globe.
Right, so he's gaslighting you. The final experiment doesn't prove the globe. It's just going to crush the flat earth. So what does the final experiment prove? That some people are upside down on a flat earth. What is it supposed to be proving? No, he's playing you, right? It's the same old gaslighting. So listen to what he says. Say it's obvious that the final experiment, the 24-hour midday sun, does not prove the globe earth. Then why go there? What was all the big boo-ah about? Right? Just think about it. What was all the fuss about? What was it all about? It's just an act. It's a show. Right? So let's listen, because the information that I'm going to show you here is related to the information that we're going to be looking at with Eddie. It's related. When you see the video, you'll see how it all fits in.
But he launches the rest of his video calling me a dumbass because no, we need to see these other proofs before we prove the globe. He says there needs to be evidence of axis rotation and motion. As an example, he shows this. This is great, and I agree. So all the final experiment people need to do is have more than one camera set up for 24 hours, and during the 24-hour recording session, have one of the camera setups going from left to right across the field of view. I think it's left to right, it might be right to left. Anyway, has to cross the field of view. Actually...
Right, so here it comes, right? He says, no, it's a good idea, but no. Right, it's going to be I'm going to juggle one ball. His gaslighting is bullshit. You need more than one camera, and I'm going to show you why. And the final experiment, that footage, why did they only give you one camera view? Because I'll show you why. In that video that Eddie and I are going to produce, I'm going to show you exactly why they can only give you one view. Because if you had two views, you'd see the scam.
No, it can be done with one camera, because the trees or a building that don't move on its own can cross the field of view.
Right, so he's just gaslighting you, right? It's complete bullshit. Look, let's just simplify things. If you disprove the Earth's rotation, then you disprove the globe model and the heliocentric model. The Earth can't be a ball, right? Because if the Earth is not spinning, it cannot be a ball. And here's the thing, do you need to go to the south all the way? Do you need to send a few people that they chose to the south? No. So you got the northern winter solstice and the summer solstice. It should be the same thing, isn't it? It's just one's one way up and the other's the other way up. So you look at the footage in the north. You don't need to have this big showy display, because it's just a bullshit gaslighting show. So let me explain. Look. Alright, so let me explain. You got two cameramen, you and your buddy, cameraman number 1 and cameraman number 2. Both of you have got a 360 rotating pan head. Right. You rotate to your left, your buddy rotates to his right. This is what the footage should show. Right. You compare the footage, you compare what you are seeing. You look at each other's camera, look at the footage. If the Earth's not moving, it should look like this. But if the Earth is moving, what would you see? Where would your buddy be? And where would he be facing? And what would your buddy be seeing if the Earth was rotating? When would you cross each other's path? And what direction you would be facing? And where would the sun be? It's logical. This is what you need to do. You need two cameras, and you need to look at where each camera is pointing and what each camera is filming, and analyze the footage. They don't want you to do this or think about it, because it shows that the heliocentric model and the spinning ball Earth is complete horseshit. It's a lie. You don't need to go in the south to the South Pole. You've got a northern winter solstice, and anybody can participate, not just a few clowns. Anybody. Look, if you're a cameraman and you're living in the north, you and your buddy go out and film. Think about it. So, you and your buddy, you're both turning right. Well, then that's what our expectations would be. The Earth's not moving. When would you see each other? What would cameraman number 1 see, and what would cameraman number 2 see? If the Earth is rotating, cameraman number 1 switches off his pan tilt head so that he's not turning. Cameraman number 2 turns to his left. This is what the evidence would produce. When would you see? What would cameraman number 1 see? Where would your buddy be in? Which direction would he be facing? Because if the Earth's rotating, you wouldn't be able to hide this. If cameraman number 1 switches his rotation onto his right, cameraman number 2 switches his pan tilt head off, what would cameraman number 2, where would your buddy be, and which direction would he be facing, and where would you be facing? When would you see the sun, and when would he see the sun? Right? If you turned in the other direction, cameraman number 1, cameraman number 2 switched his pan tilted off, when would you see your buddy in front of you? When would you see the sun? When would he see the sun, and when would he see you? So you need to compare the motion of both cameramen, and your footage will back you up to whether you're telling the truth or whether you're lying. The final experiment is bullshit, because you would be able to, remember, if you disprove the Earth's rotation, it disproves the globe and the heliocentric model. They're done and dusted. They know that. That's why he's saying to you, this clown is a dumbass clown. Right? They don't want you to think, but wait a minute, if my buddy's got a rotating pan tilted and I've got a rotating head, we should be able to test for ourselves. So Einstein said, nah, you can't do it. Einstein was lying to you. So, let's add your time in. Now you look at your time. If you both turn into your left, if the Earth's not rotating, it will become evident. Where's the sun? It must be behind you. What is your time? When would cameraman number 2 see cameraman number 1? When would they see the sun? It will become evident if the Earth is spinning. Then consider your speed. Look at the speed of cameraman number 1 to the speed of cameraman number 2. Could they both be using the same shutter speed? No. Because you're moving at different speeds.
Observations. He tries again to use this Fairbanks, Alaska video to say the 12-hour view of the sun that's in that video doesn't fit with the expectations. So here's the problem with his use of that video for the first bit of evidence and the third one. This video is not of 12 hours of sunlight in Fairbanks.
A person who films the winter solstice, his camera's not moving. The sun moves in front of him. Now watch. The cameraman here, he's not rotating. It means the Earth's not rotating. He's in Fairbanks, Alaska. He sees the daylight for 3 hours or 40 minutes. The Earth's not turning, right? The Earth's not turning. So if it simply means that he's not moving and the sun is moving. Right? That's what that footage reveals. So if he only sees the sun for a few hours, that's not the point. Now we're going to look at footage that is 12 hours long to make this clown happy. You wanted the evidence? I'm going to show you the evidence. Right? Now look at the distance. Come on. 300 million kilometers between the sunrise and the sunset, because that's what it would be if you just took a few seconds to think about it. So, if the cameraman doesn't turn and he sees the sun only for those few hours, 4 hours or 3 hours, whatever, he would have to turn his camera. He can't have the same frame of reference in front of him. His frame of reference has to turn so that he can see the sun.
So here's the problem with his use of that video for the first bit of evidence and the third one. This video is not of 12 hours of sunlight in Fairbanks.
Okay, dipshit. We're going to look at 12 hours of footage. Right? Because he's a clown. He's just gaslighting you. So, look, let's think about it. If a guy's on a ball, he's in Fairbanks, in Alaska. He has to turn. The Earth is turning. He can't see the sun in front of him, even for 3 hours or 4 hours. Right. Now, let's add another element to this to prove what I'm saying. Right, the ball Earth is a clown show. Let's add the moon into the equation. So if this clown's on a ball, on top of this ball, can he see the sun and moon that's below him? So even if you tilt the clown at 23.4 degrees or 66.6 degrees, and the clown is rotating on top of the ball, can he see the sun and the moon above the horizon? The answer is no. Can't happen. So I've never filmed there. Right? I'm an artist, cinematographer, photographer. I've never been there and I've never filmed there. But what people tell me, and what people who have been there, they'll tell you that the moon, that means it's directly opposite the sun in the heliocentric model. They can film it for 24 freaking hours. And they see the sun above the horizon. Your angle to that ball doesn't change. So let's look at some footage. Now we're going to look at it, and I'm going to add a highlight, because you might not actually see what's going on. Now people who've been up there and filmed up there have said they see the moon for 24 hours. It means that you're not living on a spinning ball. Right, so I've never been there. I'm taking their word for it. Here's some footage. Have a look.
See past the grand illusion, flat like a canvas, no curve in sight. On the battlefield we stand up and fight. No globe, no chains, we won't falter. Truth, our faith, an unbroken altar. Masters of our fate, we won't be framed. And with this little we ain't ashamed. No bend, no conform. Flat earth rebels breaking the norm. Truth in our hearts, we're not deceived.
So here's the problem with his use of that video for the first bit of evidence and the third one. This video is not of 12 hours of sunlight in Fairbanks.
So it's just common sense. You can see, I can see as an artist, I can see that there's problems with the heliocentric model. What I'm seeing with my eyes, it doesn't add up to what they're saying. They're lying. Then they want to gaslight you and saying, well, it's because you don't understand how their shit works. No, it's bullshit. I can recognize bullshit and I recognize the truth. I can see when you're gaslighting me. Right, so here's 12 hours of sun. It's in the northern hemisphere, so it's not in Fairbanks. So let's analyze this footage. How can a cameraman see the sun in front of him if he doesn't turn his camera for 12 hours? He can't. Right, if he does it like this, he still can't. The camera would have to be above his dumbass head. Right. So how does a person film this? It's obvious. He's not turning and the sun is orbiting in a circle above his head. And so is the moon. So I've added the water into it, right? Why? Because look at the reflection of the light on the water. If he's on a curved surface and the sun is 150 million kilometers in front of him, then the sunlight can't reflect on the water in front of him. The only way the sunlight reflects on the water in front of him is the water must be flat. And the sun is above the water. It's logical. So take that, the light, and look at the sun. The sun is coming forward and then moving back into the horizon for the 12 hours. His camera doesn't turn, so he's not living on a spinning ball. The spinning ball globe model is bullshit. It's a lie. So, who is the master of your mind? You or some dipshit dumb clown? You. You're the master of your own mind. Unless you're lazy and you don't want to think and reason for yourself, then it's on your own head. Look, I'm an artist. I just see things differently. They'll tell you, cotton on. What does that mean? It means get on with the program. Right? We're giving you the program, just get on with the job. Well, no, it doesn't work like that with me. I'm an artist. I like my freedom. So take your bullshit and duck. Look, if they own the cotton and they pay you in cotton and they tax the cotton that they're paying you, and you have to compensate them for using their cotton. Now in the banking system, that compensation is called what? Interest. So what is the difference between cotton and money? Nothing. It's the same shit. And you're a slave. Then they got inflation. Well, they got a cotton bag and they just make the cotton bag bigger and bigger. That's inflation, and you just work harder and put more cotton in. And they call that inflation. It's because you're a slave. So, okay, they own the cotton and they've enslaved everybody. But it doesn't mean we have to accept it and shut up and be a good boy and keep quiet and don't make waves. Nah. Take your shit and duck. We'll make as much waves as we want to. And we must be grateful to these clowns because they've done all the thinking for you. What is your reward, or what is it going to be? Slavery. Wake up. Slavery. I want my freedom. I don't want to become your dumbass slave. Right? So where does the slavery start? They take away the most important things, your dignity and self-worth. Your belief in yourself that you are a smart person, that you can work this out. I say, no, you have to be like an Einstein. And these clever dudes, they'll work it out. That's part of the lie. You're already halfway in their prison cell. Your freedom is the next thing they'll take from you. So listen. When Jesus Christ was on earth, he said, behold, I've given you authority to tread on snakes and scorpions, and over all the power of your enemy, nothing will harm you. Now I know this is true. I don't just believe it, I know it's the truth. That God hasn't abandoned us. He's given us thinking ability, and it's our responsibility to crush the snake in the head. Now some people are just lazy. Right? They don't want to do the work. Then you can't cry. So my advice to you is, put in the effort, crush the serpent's head. Reason and think for yourself, and don't let them bully you and gaslighting you with their bullshit. So I hope this video has helped you out. Cheers and thanks for watching.
The science tangled in confusion. We see past that gray. care is no curve in sight. On the battlefield we stand up and fight. No throne, no change, we won't falter. Truth, our faith, an unbroken altar. Masters of our fate, we won't be framed. In this riddle, we ain't ashamed. Satellite lies, the selling dreams. We're unmasking the sinister schemes.